16 of NASCAR's best drivers this season took to the track for one goal and one goal only. That is to become a NASCAR champion. Those 16 took to the banks of Darlington, and let me tell you, Too Tough to Tame was really too tough to tame on a lot of playoff drivers.
Wynn's gonna punch his ticket to the championship 4.
Got him this time. Oh, he turned it!
No! Make room! Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. There's another 7-time champ. By Logano, maybe no! Kenza takes him out!
Using lessons learned from his father to go from 6th to 1st and score the victory in the Pepsi 400.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. 3 flags in the air.
Welcome back to another video. My name is Cameron Simpson. Thank you all for being with us today, talking all things NASCAR. Sorry for the video coming out a little later than normal. Part of that is because I was away, just got home a few minutes ago, and I want to talk about this race in the studio with all the fun stuff that we have. So let's get it done. Let's talk about NASCAR. I think we should start with the winner, because obviously you win, you get yourself locked in, and if you're a playoff driver did end up winning today. That playoff driver was Kyle Larson. Big congratulations to Kyle Larson on this win. It's his first time winning the Southern 500. He's came close many times. He's came close to winning at Darlington many times, from Chastain getting into him and other things, blah blah. But he's been fast here before, and he probably should have been everybody's favorite going into this race. He had a wicked fast car, and he proved to be really dominant at every stretch of this track today. He did very well on long runs, short runs. He kept his car clean. He was fast all day. He had problems in qualifying and got himself in the back of the field, but I don't really think that mattered. We saw how fast he was in practice. Sometimes the qualifying doesn't really work that out. He advances himself into the next round of the playoffs, and remind you, a lot of people might have been sleeping on Larson going into the playoffs. I sure wasn't. I have him going to the championship 4. He's a threat here in these playoffs, and when so many drivers had so many problems, to be the guy to get the win for the playoff drivers is very big. Was he the best car tonight? By all means, no. No, he was not the best driver tonight. I think that goes to Denny Hamlin, and Denny had a really bad luck at the end of the race. I also think that the best driver could have went to Christopher Bell if he didn't have all those problems. We'll talk about playoff driver problems in a second, but big congratulations to that 5 team. Were some people sleeping on him? Yeah. Were some people not? No. I made my predictions video. If you missed it, go check it out. By the way, I filmed it before the Eric E Step 1 came out, so in case you're thinking, oh, Cam was taking Eric's Final 4. No, I had that same Final 4. Just a coincidence, I guess. Those are some of the 4 best drivers in the NASCAR field, and because of that, I really, truly do believe that these are the guys we need to look out for this season in these playoffs. Even the ones that struggled today, they're still a big threat, and Kyle Larson winning this race today proves that we should still be worried about Hendrick, because Hendrick's now going to flood all of their resources into that 5 team. Maybe they weren't flooding all their resources into the 5 team. I think that's a valuable assumption. Maybe they weren't flooding every bit of resources they had towards the 5. Maybe they were flooding all their resources towards other vehicles, because they wanted their 9 car to get into the playoffs. They wanted their 48 to get into the playoffs. Both of them didn't, obviously. But now that they're not in the playoffs, they're not in the running for anything, maybe the tide has turned, and Larson, Byron, both look good today. Maybe they're getting some of the top performance equipment out there. Let's talk about some of the playoff drivers that just had a god-awful day today, and I have a couple of them listed here. Let me pull them up. First off and foremost, we got to talk about Christopher Bell. Started the race on the pole. Looked very fast in his Yahoo car. And you want to know what happened to him? He had a mistake on pit road. Supposedly, this brand new pit crew, it used to pit the 54, used to pit Ty Gibbs, this pit crew that's now in the 20, used to pit Ty Gibbs. They were the best in NASCAR on pit stops. One of the best, I think they might have been the best on pit stops. Not exactly sure. NBC showed the graphic. Anyway, they were very good. And now they're pitting the 20 car in the playoffs. It happens a lot. This isn't a rare thing. They want to have a better pit crew because the 20 has been awful on pit road all year long. First pit stop, new team, supposedly faster, better, going to be a big difference. And they had a problem on pit road. The jack got stuck up in the car, and it set the tone for an awful day for Christopher Bell. He ended up doing so many things wrong and making bad pit stops, having problems on track, loose wheel, this. Moral of the story is Christopher Bell was one of those playoff drivers that you may have had up here on some of your lists. I didn't have him that high up. I honestly didn't expect much from him. He had a lot of attention. He got the pole, and he absolutely tanked it. Awful day for Christopher Bell. He had to work on his problems throughout it. I mean, there was this, I don't know if you guys remember, the phantom caution is what I'm calling it. It was the caution for the lights not being on, which was, we'll get to it in a little bit. Anyway, during that caution cycle where we ran laps and laps and laps and laps under caution, he was able to fix his car, but it didn't add up to anything. That's one playoff driver that had big problems today. The other one was Harvick. Harvick, man, poor Harvick. I want to get to him in a second, but first let's go to Logano. He was the second guy that I want to talk about. Logano, he ran kind of decent, mid-pack most of the day. End of stage 1, he's heading to the finish line, and behind him, Bubba Wallace spins out. Somehow, some way, ran into the 22 and bent a toe link, damaged a toe link. That set the tone for the rest of the race for Logano. They ended up recovering pretty nicely and got in a 12th place finish. But still, Logano had that toe link problem. They had to come to pit road and fix it all day. It kind of just took their chances of a top 5 away. But the recovery was very good, but they also didn't have chances to get playoff points. And we talked about the playoffs. You have to have playoff points. You have to be running well. Well, Logano didn't end up doing that. He had those big problems in his car. So very tough for Logano, I gotta say. But that team will want to recover. Very good in Kansas. He's very good at Kansas. Logano's very good there, and he's a decent Bristol racer. So now to Harvick, who another Ford having a tough day, and SHR having a tough year, but he was running second, right, catching Reddick, and he decided, all right, we're going to go to pit road. So the 4 car makes his move to pit road, and Tyler Reddick slows down. You could see the fire coming out of his pipe, out of the pipe in the next gen car, which means you're lifting. He lifted, and the 51 of Ryan Newman ran right into the back of Tyler Reddick. Newman spins out, caution comes out, pit road closes before Harvick gets there. And they still pit the car. Obviously, you have no idea. It happened so quick, but obviously on video replay, it was clear as day. So the 4 car pits, gets a penalty, goes in the back of the field. Really, they recovered okay, but they had a chance to win this race and set the tone for the rest of the playoffs. And it just didn't happen because Tyler Reddick made, for me, an idiotic decision. I don't know if in his rearview mirror he sees the 4 going to pit road and he's going, oh shoot, the 4 is going to short pit me. I got to get to pit road. That's probably in the back of his mind, but what he doesn't realize is there's no way in the world he's getting onto pit road. He's already so far past it. So it was very dumb on Tyler Reddick's part, and the 51 just had nowhere to go, spun out, probably trying to brake. And so, disastrous move there. The other guy was Denny Hamlin. Let's talk about a pretty bad day for Denny. Ran up front, looked like he was obviously going to win this race. He pits, he's complaining of a loose wheel. The team said he didn't have a loose wheel. Man, was it a driver error? Was he? I don't think he was making up feeling something behind the wheel. Honestly, I think Hamlin really did think there was a loose wheel. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was something else. He changes the 4 tires, and the team says, we're not finding where there could have been a loose wheel. Really disaster for Hamlin. He puts himself in the way back, takes himself out of what I think he would have won this race. Yes, I think he 100% would have won this race if it wasn't for that. So, tough for Hamlin. Truex also started in the back, and honestly, Truex didn't have a lot of problems. He just never got going today at all. So those are some of the notable playoff drivers I want to talk about that had struggles. Let's look at the finishing results. As you can see, there are drivers highlighted in yellow. Those drivers in yellow are playoff drivers, so that's how I look at it. Kyle Larson gets to win. He's on to the next round. Tyler Reddick, talking about a playoff driver who had a good day, ran up front, got some playoff points. He didn't win a stage, but he was close enough to it multiple times. He had a great day. Tyler Reddick set the tone for his playoffs, had a really good day. Same thing with Chris Buescher. Talk about those RFK cars coming into the playoffs, running incredible, and that continued today. Chris Buescher ran top 5 all day long, had an incredible car, looked like he could win at a point. Gotta give kudos to that team. And it wasn't just him. We'll look at his teammate, Brad Keselowski, finished 6th today. I have Brad K out in the first round. Proving me wrong right now is Brad Keselowski running very, very good. Another playoff driver that ran good, look at William Byron in 4th, had a decent day, collected some stage points. That's all you need to do in this first race and stay out of trouble. Chastain came out of nowhere. Top 5, ran good today after, in the first stage, almost being a lap down. He was almost a lap down in the first stage, turned the whole race around, ran very, very, very good. Bubba Wallace, his first ever playoff performance. Talk about an incredible run for that team. Insane. Great job. Chase Elliott in 8th, not a playoff driver, but a good run. Too bad he's not in the playoffs. Blaney. Got to give a round of applause for Ryan Blaney. I was a big skeptic of them going into this year. Had a good day. Kyle Busch in 11th, up and down day. Incredible that they finished 11th, if you ask me. An awful day. Logano, I talked about him today. He finishes 12th. Now let's look at some other playoff drivers outside of the top 15. I want to look at Chase Briscoe. I'm not Chase Briscoe. Oh, God. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 16th. They had a decent day. They stuck around, but honestly, let's be honest, it's going to take a win for him to advance. Martin Truex, 18th today. Not a great day. We talked about it. Harvick ended up finishing 19th. Christopher Bell, 23rd. Pretty bad day. Hamlin, 25th. That's really, really bad, if you ask me. Michael McDowell, 32nd today, because he ended up being in a wreck. So there was a lot of things that happened. Let's look at the points quickly as we're talking about playoff drivers. The points are a good point of emphasis to talk about. Here we go. First off, it is Kyle Larson with the win. You look at some guys like Byron, 45 points to the good. Reddick, 30 points to the good, really great. Buescher, 27. Truex, regular season matters. Truex and Hamlin had bad days today, but they end up 27 and 25 points to the good. Very good. Kyle Busch, 20 points to the good. Had 5 stage points today, I believe. Keselowski, 18 points. Solid day. We look at the other side of the board. You know, Blaney, 16 points. Chastain, 13. Okay. Logano, only 3 points to the good. He had a really rough day points-wise. Bell, only 1 point to the good. And Wallace, though he had a good run, he's only 1 point out now. Going into Kansas, where he won last year, I have really high hopes for that 23 team. Harvick, 2 points out right now. I still am not counting them out yet. I'm not counting them out, even though I have them out of this round. I'm not counting them out. McDowell, 19 points out. Let's be honest, him and Stenhouse are going to have to win. That's a look at the point standings. Some other quick little storylines today from this race before we rank it. I wanted to talk about some crazy incidents, some stupid driving, if you ask me, by the 48 and the 99. They ended up wrecking each other, catching Harrison Burton about it. You know, Jeff Burton called it out right away, probably because his son was involved, but Dale Jr. trying to play both sides of that, there's just no way you could do that. That was just an awful move by both of those guys. Just awful racing. The lights went out in the middle of the race, causing caution laps. The only thing NASCAR could have done there, I think they had to throw the caution out. I don't blame them for it. Just doesn't look good that your lights are going out on a night race. You know, the one thing that really needs to work at a night race is the lights. So that's just tough. And I wish they just threw the red flag right away. Why keep the guys running in circles? Just throw the red flag and let's deal with it under red instead of just wasting laps of a race. So that's just my spiel on that. Let's rank it. Obviously, Darlington is now been the last few years been the race where playoff drivers go to die. We look at last year with Kyle Busch and other playoff drivers. Harvick was another one even last year where you just go to die at Darlington. The Southern 500, it's 500 miles and it's tough. This track eats up cars and it's a perfect race for the playoff drivers because we get these amazing storylines and we get guys that have a really tough day. It's about survival, and if you get knocked down, you have to get back up again at Darlington. So it was a great race, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So I will be hitting the gas, and I'm going to give this race, I have it as a B. I thought it was a good race. And when we look at playoffs and the implications on the playoffs, the Southern 500 sets the tone for what is normally a great playoff. Ever since it's been race number 1, it's not only a historic race that everyone wants to win, but it's the first race of the playoffs, so there's a lot of tension. A sold-out crowd for the Southern 500. I think this is the 3rd crown jewel in a row that was sold out. I think we had Coke 600 was sold out. I believe that obviously the Daytona 500 was sold out, and this one was sold out. The crowd was there. An incredible opening weekend for the NASCAR playoffs. 9 races to go, 2 more in this round. Kansas and then Bristol night race are all coming up. Very excited for those next 2. Stay with this channel. we'll have it covered for you all week long, as well as getting ready for next week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.